Machiavelli versus Marcus Aurelius. Power politics or inner peace? Pay attention. Here's what destroys most men: their goodness, their blind faith that morality alone shields them. That dedication speaks for itself. That devotion gets returned. Noble thinking, deadly execution. Marcus Aurelius preached virtue while conspirators sharpened knives behind him. He championed mercy while his heir became tyranny incarnate. Righteous men perish clutching their values while their kingdoms crumble. Why? They mastered only half the equation. Machiavelli grasped what Aurelius refused to acknowledge. Reality rewards those who accept its brutal truth. Not the sanitized version, the actual one, where terror outlasts affection, where seeming noble trumps being noble, where opportunity and image determine outcomes. Yet Machiavelli's failure mirrors Aurelius's. His obsession with external dominance left him spiritually hollow. No tranquility, no foundation. He died resentful, banished, dismissed by the rulers he educated. Two incomplete philosophies, two partial lessons. You require the savagery to execute and the discipline to stay centered. You need predatory instinct fused with philosophical grounding. Comment below. I choose power with peace. Section 2. The dark triad reality. Let me reveal something controversial. Those successful people you admire, they test high on dark triad traits: narcissism, Machiavellianism, psychopathy. Not clinical extremes, controlled expressions, weaponized doses, sufficient narcissism to claim what's theirs, enough Machiavellianism to strategize without sentiment clouding judgment, adequate psychopathy to execute harsh choices without guilt paralysis, and their sleep remains undisturbed. Society conditioned you to fear these characteristics, to bury them, to feel shame when they surface. That's intentional. A man who harnesses his shadow while maintaining sovereignty. He's uncontrollable. Marcus Aurelius would command you to reject these elements, to transcend your primal nature. Easy wisdom from someone born into absolute authority. Simple to preach virtue when you inherit empires. But you're constructing from zero. You need different instruments. Machiavelli would push you toward complete darkness, becoming both predator and deceiver. Understanding humanity's ingratitude and fickleness. He's accurate, but total cynicism breeds isolation, paranoia, the exile he endured. The solution: integration. Deploy Stoic principles to anchor your core while executing Machiavellian tactics externally. Emotional shutdown during action. Full emotional access during reflection. Master the transition. Command the paradox. Your rivals are reactive, emotional, transparent, broadcasting vulnerability through every expression. You? Encrypted, impenetrable. They'll project fears onto your silence, fill your stillness with their anxieties. Comment right now. I am calculated chaos. Show me you comprehend. Section 3. The inner fortress meets the outer game. Here's your differentiation. Most humans exist as pure emotion or pure calculation. Bleeding hearts who get crushed or mechanical operators who implode. You're constructing something unprecedented, something invisible to them. Stoics taught fortress building internally, where external events can't penetrate, where insults deflect, where loss doesn't fracture you, where others' judgments become irrelevant noise. This becomes your bedrock, your unshakable foundation. Without this, you're another manipulator destined to crack under pressure. But the fortress alone, its luxurious imprisonment. You'll possess serenity while watching thieves claim your destiny. Calm while they exploit your passivity. Marcus Aurelius achieved inner tranquility with a disintegrating empire. Peaceful while his son became Rome's catastrophe. Inner peace minus external strategy equals sophisticated weakness. Now integrate Machiavelli's perspective. Perceive humans as they exist, not your idealized version. Recognize most will betray when profitable. Understand loyalty operates transactionally. Trust requires earning and verification. Your reputation becomes a deliberately crafted weapon. master smiling while calculating, appearing open while staying detached, projecting vulnerability while concealing everything authentic. Perfect strategic relationship management. No proximity levels for everyone. Understand when strength shows and when it hides. This synthesis creates immunity. The fortress immunizes you against manipulation. The external game grants reality-shaping ability, combined, untouchable. When attacked, your stoic core remains undisturbed. No rage, no wounds, pure observation. Then your Machiavellian intellect calculates response, not emotional revenge. Strategic consequences. You don't react. You respond with precision. Timing. Maximum impact with minimum expenditure. You're not suppressing emotion, you're transmuting it. Rage becomes disciplined action fuel. Fear transforms into risk assessment data. Pain converts to decision-making wisdom. Feel everything, display nothing. Internal processing, external execution. This creates the man they cannot predict, manipulate, or shatter. Drop in the comments. Fortress Mind, Wolf Strategy. Section 4. The Laws of Power Psychology. Let me deliver frameworks they deliberately hide. Power's operating systems running beneath every interaction, negotiation, relationship. These aren't theories. These are century-spanning patterns among victors. Law 1. Never eclipse the master until replacement readiness. Marcus Aurelius calls this dishonesty. Machiavelli calls it survival. Your superior needs security in their position. Threaten prematurely, you're eliminated. Absorb everything, extract their knowledge, then move completely when ready. No partial commitments. Law 2. Conceal intentions. Stoics preach radical transparency. Philosophically beautiful, practically suicidal. Real objectives stay hidden. Actual timelines remain private. Speak in possibilities while moving with certainty. They see your construction. Your destination stays invisible until arrival. Law 3. Force others to approach you. Reactive people chase. Powerful people magnetize. Create undeniable value that attracts opportunities. Build reputation so solid people compete for your attention. Marcus Aurelius understood dignity. Machiavelli understood positioning. Combined, you become magnetic. Law 4. Speak minimally. Every uttered word becomes usable intelligence against you. The anxious flood silence with words, exposing insecurity, revealing hands, surrendering leverage. You master the pause, the measured response, strategic silence creating discomfort that makes them self-expose. Law 5. Protect reputation like life itself. It's power's cornerstone, built on competence, reliability, controlled mystique, not flashiness, not bragging. Quiet excellence, speaking through results. Your reputation should make crossing you cautious and aligning with you appealing. Law 6. Engineer compelling spectacles. Perception equals reality. Presentation matters equally to content. Stoics call this vanity, but Machiavelli grasped humans as visual creatures. They remember the performance. Control narrative or someone else does. Law 7. Maintain clean hands. When difficult actions become necessary, create distance. Preserve plausible deniability. Protect image while achieving objectives. This isn't cowardice, it's intelligence. Kings executing personally become tyrants. Kings maintaining courts become just rulers. Same outcome, different legacy. Law 8. Execute with boldness. Hesitation breeds doubt. Timidity invites disrespect. When moving, move with absolute conviction. Fake if necessary. Confidence spreads contagiously. So does fear. They smell uncertainty like blood. Give them nothing. These aren't moral frameworks. These are operational realities. Power dynamics govern the world whether you acknowledge them or not. Pretend they don't exist and stay powerless. Master them and become untouchable. Comment now. I see the game clearly. Section 5. The Manipulation Immunity Protocol. You want the real difference between you and everyone else? You're becoming manipulation-proof, not through superior intelligence, through pattern recognition. The psychological triggers being deployed against you constantly. Daily, someone attempts controlling you. Your employer uses authority and termination fear. Your partner deploys emotional withdrawal and guilt. Friends use social pressure and FOMO. Advertisers exploit scarcity and status anxiety. Politicians weaponize tribal identity and manufactured outrage. You're drowning in manipulation, and most people don't notice the water. Here's your liberation. First, recognize 6 core manipulation tactics. Reciprocity, small gifts creating large obligation feelings. Commitment and consistency, minor agreements escalating. Social proof, showing everyone's participation. Authority, credentials bypassing critical thinking. Liking, friendliness, dropping your guard. Scarcity, false urgency, preventing thoughtful action. See it now? Every advertisement, every sales pitch, every political campaign, every toxic relationship, identical playbook, different actors. Once you see the matrix, unseeing becomes impossible. Marcus Aurelius taught remaining unmoved by external pressure. That's your defensive foundation, your emotional firewall. When guilt attempts land, you feel it, acknowledge it, and release it without gripping. When anger attempts arrive, you observe without engaging. Your Stoic core creates manipulation resistance. But Machiavelli adds offensive capability. You don't just resist their tactics. You recognize them, catalog them, and understand what they reveal about the manipulator. Someone using excessive flattery. They want something and assume you're vain enough to fall for it. Someone creating artificial scarcity. They're desperate and their position is weak. Someone appealing to authority. They have no real argument. Every manipulation attempt becomes information. It shows you their assessment of your weaknesses. It reveals their desperation level. It exposes their actual leverage or lack thereof. When you stop being the target and become the analyst, everything transforms. Now here's advanced level. You learn using these same tactics ethically. Yes, ethically, because influence isn't inherently evil. Leadership requires influence. Negotiation requires influence. Building anything requires getting people to act. The difference? Ethical influence aligns interests. Manipulation extracts value one-sidedly. You use reciprocity by genuinely giving value first. You use social proof by actually building something worth joining. You use authority by developing real expertise. You use scarcity by creating genuine uniqueness. You become the man who can influence without manipulating, who can lead without coercing, who can negotiate without deceiving. This is power with integrity, the synthesis of Aurelius and Machiavelli. And here's the killer advantage. When you operate this way, you attract higher quality people. Manipulators attract victims and other manipulators. A race to the bottom. You attract other high-value individuals who recognize authentic power when they see it. You build networks of mutual respect, not webs of obligation. Alliances based on shared interest, not fear. Loyalty earned through competence, not extracted through guilt. This is sustainable power, the kind that compounds over decades. Most men stay stuck in the victim-manipulator dynamic their entire lives. You're stepping outside it completely, becoming immune to their games while playing a different game entirely. A game they don't even know exists. Comment this: I am immune and unshakable. Section 6. The Emotional Mastery Paradox. Here's the paradox making you unstoppable. You must experience everything and reveal nothing. Most men invert this, either suppressing emotions, becoming numb automatons who eventually detonate, or letting emotions control them, becoming predictable, manipulatable puppets. You're learning the third path, complete emotional sovereignty. Marcus Aurelius felt profoundly. Read his meditations. That's a man processing grief, frustration, disappointment, doubt, but he processed privately. Never weaponized feelings against others. Never used pain as sympathy currency. Never let emotions dictate decisions. He felt fully and chose deliberately. Machiavelli understood displaying emotion reveals your hand. Anger shows what bothers you. Joy shows what you value. Fear shows where you're vulnerable. Sadness shows where to strike. Every emotional display is tactical intelligence you're freely distributing, and they will weaponize it. So here's your protocol. Create a gap between stimulus and response. Someone insults you. Anger rises. You feel it completely. The chest heat, the jaw tension, the retaliation urge. You observe it like a scientist observing chemical reactions. Interesting. This is anger. This is my body perceiving disrespect. But you don't react. You breathe. You let it peak and pass. You might respond hours later, days later, or never. But your response, if it comes, is calculated, proportional, strategic, not emotional vomit. Precision consequence. This is emotional mastery, not suppression, not expression, transmutation. You're converting raw emotional energy into focused action. Anger becomes self-improvement motivation. Jealousy becomes data about actual desires. Fear becomes reconnaissance about genuine threats. Sadness becomes depth and empathy you can deploy when necessary. Now here's where it gets powerful. While you're mastering your emotions, everyone else is enslaved by theirs. They wake anxious, they decide from fear, they sabotage opportunities through insecurity, they destroy relationships through unchecked anger. They're predictable, you're not. You can trigger their emotions while remaining calm. Well-timed silence makes anxious people fill voids with concessions. A slight smile during their anger makes them escalate and reveal true positions. Calm demeanor when they expect rage makes them question everything. You're playing chess while they're playing checkers with feelings. But here's the critical distinction. This isn't about becoming cold. Psychopaths are cold. They feel nothing. That's not power, that's disability. You feel everything. That's your advantage. You have access to all emotional intelligence, all empathy, all passion. But you have discipline to choose when and how to deploy it. With family, you can be warm, vulnerable, present, because you choose to be, not because you can't help it. With enemies, you can be ice, unreadable, untouchable, because you choose to be. The key word is choice. You're no longer enslaved to stimulus-response patterns programmed by childhood, society, or biology. This is freedom, real freedom, not fake freedom of expressing yourself authentically, which is just slavery to whatever emotion screams loudest. True freedom is having full emotional range available and sovereignty to choose what you do with it. Train this daily, small moments. The driver who cuts you off. Instead of rage, observe your rage. The compliment that inflates you. Instead of inflating, notice your ego responding. The rejection that stings. Instead of spiraling, watch your mind trying self-protection. Every moment is practice. Over time, the gap between feeling and reacting becomes your superpower. You'll watch other men destroy themselves through emotional incontinence while you remain in perfect control. They'll call you cold. Let them. You know the truth. You're not cold. You're free. You feel more than they ever will. You just refuse to be controlled by it. And that makes you dangerous, unpredictable, untouchable. Drop this in the comments. I feel all, show nothing. Section 7. The strategic silence and observation doctrine. Most men lose because they talk excessively. They need validation. They need to be heard. They need proving they're smart, relevant, important. So they spill plans. They reveal insecurities. They telegraph moves. And they wonder why they keep getting blindsided. Listen carefully. Silence isn't weakness. Silence is information asymmetry favoring you. Every moment you stay quiet while others talk, you're gathering intelligence. You're learning their priorities, fears, blind spots, decision-making patterns. They're giving you the blueprint to their psychology, and they don't even realize it. Marcus Aurelius spent more time observing than speaking. He watched human nature. He studied patterns. He understood most people reveal everything if you just give them space. The anxious person fills silence with nervous chatter, exposing insecurities. The arrogant person monologues, revealing ego wounds. The manipulator over-explains, showing you exactly where they're lying. Machiavelli knew the quiet man in the room is most dangerous. Because while everyone else is performing, posturing, competing for attention, he's collecting data. He sees who allies with whom, who contradicts themselves, who's actually competent versus who just talks a good game. He's 3 moves ahead before the meeting even ends. Here's your new protocol. In any group setting, speak last. Let them exhaust their positions. Let them commit to their arguments. Let them reveal their hand completely. Then, when you finally speak, your words carry weight because they've been calibrated with complete information. You're not guessing, you're not reacting, you're responding with precision. Watch what happens. They start projecting onto your silence. The guilty assume you know their secrets. The weak assume you're judging them. The insecure assume you think you're better than them. Your silence becomes a mirror reflecting their internal state back at them, and they tell you everything without you asking a single question. But this isn't just about staying quiet. It's about active observation. You're reading micro-expressions, noticing who looks at whom when certain topics arise, tracking who interrupts whom, observing who defers to whom, cataloging who gets defensive about what. Every interaction is data. Every conversation is reconnaissance. Most people observe passively. They're physically present but mentally elsewhere, thinking about what they'll say next, checking their phones, lost in their own narrative. You're a predator watching prey, fully present, completely focused, missing nothing. Here's what you look for. Incongruence. When words don't match body language. When someone says they're fine but their jaw is clenched. When someone claims confidence but their hands are trembling. When someone promises loyalty but their eyes are scanning for exits. The gap between what people say and what they reveal is where truth lives. You also observe patterns over time. One conversation tells you little. 10 conversations reveal character. Someone who consistently blames others is showing you they'll eventually blame you. Someone who gossips about everyone will gossip about you. Someone who breaks small promises will break big ones. People tell you who they are constantly. You just have to be paying attention. Now here's the counterintuitive part. Your silence makes you more influential, not less. Scarcity principle. When you rarely speak, people lean in when you do. Your words carry disproportionate weight. They listen differently. They remember what you said. Meanwhile, the person who talks constantly becomes background noise. You also avoid the trap of committing too early. The person who speaks first stakes out a position and becomes predictable. Everyone knows where they stand and can plan accordingly. You stay fluid, adaptable. You can shift as new information emerges without looking inconsistent because you never committed prematurely. This creates psychological pressure on others. They need to know where you stand. They need to categorize you, friend or foe, ally or threat. Your ambiguity makes them anxious, so they try to pull you out. They ask leading questions. They test you with false confidences. They try to make you reveal yourself. And if you're disciplined, you give them nothing real. But here's the ethical boundary. You're not being deceptive. You're being discerning. There's a difference between lying and simply not volunteering information, between manipulation and strategic discretion. You answer questions honestly when asked directly. You just don't offer unsolicited transparency to people who haven't earned it. Trust is earned through demonstrated reliability over time. Until then, strategic silence protects you. It prevents premature judgment. It avoids unnecessary conflict. It preserves options. It maintains mystery. And mystery is magnetic. The talkers think they're controlling the room. They're not. You are. From silence, from observation, from patience. You're the still point in a world of chaos. And that stillness is your greatest strength. Comment right now. Silent observer, strategic mover. Section 8. The reputation architecture system. Your reputation is your most valuable asset, more valuable than wealth, more powerful than connections, more enduring than physical strength, because your reputation precedes you. It opens doors before you arrive. It closes threats before they materialize. It does the work while you sleep. But most men build their reputation accidentally, reactively, hoping people notice their good qualities. That's amateur hour. You're about to architect yours with precision. Machiavelli understood something crucial. It's better to appear virtuous than to be virtuous. Harsh truth, but listen deeper. He's not saying be fraudulent. He's saying perception matters more than reality in the short term, so control the perception while building the reality. Your actual competence is your foundation. Your perceived competence is your force multiplier. Marcus Aurelius would object. He'd say focus only on character. Let reputation follow naturally, noble but incomplete. You can be the most competent person in the room and still be overlooked if you don't control your narrative. You can be the most ethical and still be slandered if you don't protect your image. Good character without reputation management is a tree falling in an empty forest. Here's how you build untouchable reputation. First, identify your core narrative. What 3 words should people associate with you? Not what you wish. What you'll actually demonstrate consistently. Reliable, strategic, unshakable, or maybe innovative, decisive, loyal. Whatever you choose, those become your operating principles. Every action either reinforces or contradicts this narrative. Second, understand that reputation is built through patterns, not performances. 1 impressive achievement gets attention. 10 consistent wins build reputation. People remember what you do repeatedly, not what you do once. So you become boringly consistent in your excellence. You deliver on time, every time. You keep your word, every word. You show up prepared, every meeting. This is harder than it sounds, because life interferes. You get tired. Circumstances change. Easier options appear. This is where most men's reputations crumble. They're impressive when convenient and absent when it's difficult. You're most reliable precisely when it's hardest. That's what separates reputation from mere popularity. Third, control the information flow. You decide what people know about you and when. Big wins? You don't announce them immediately. You let others discover them. Second-hand praise is 10 times more powerful than self-promotion. You create situations where others brag about you. How? By genuinely helping them win. By creating value so obvious they can't help but mention it. You also control the narrative around failures, because you will fail. Everyone does. But failure doesn't destroy reputation. Poor explanation of failure destroys reputation. When something goes wrong, you own it immediately. No excuses, no blame shifting. Clear explanation of what happened, what you learned, what changes you're implementing. This builds more trust than never failing would. Fourth, be selectively visible. You're not everywhere. You're not at every event, every meeting, every social gathering. Scarcity creates value. When you do appear, you're fully present, contributing meaningfully. People remember the quality of your presence, not the quantity. The man who's always available seems desperate. The man who's strategically available seems important. Fifth, associate strategically. Your reputation is affected by proximity. Spend time with losers. You're perceived as a loser. Spend time with winners. Their status elevates yours. Cold? Maybe. True? Absolutely. You're judged by the company you keep, so you're very selective about who you're publicly associated with. This doesn't mean you abandon old friends who aren't successful. Loyalty matters, but you're conscious about which relationships are private and which are public. You can help people discreetly without broadcasting association with every person you assist. Sixth, never defend yourself from petty attacks. This is critical. When someone slanders you, your instinct is to correct the record, resist. Defending yourself from small attacks legitimizes them. It shows they got under your skin. It makes you look weak. Instead, your reputation defends itself. The people who matter already know your character. The people attacking you are revealing their own insecurity. Only respond to attacks that threaten real damage. Career-ending accusations, legal threats, systematic campaigns. For everything else, silence. Let your continued excellence be the only response. Let your results speak. Let time prove them wrong. Seventh, build reputation in layers. Surface layer, competence. Everyone sees you deliver. Middle layer, character. Close observers see your integrity. Deep layer, strategic thinking. Only select few see how you actually operate. This layered approach protects you. Surface reputation handles public perception. Deep reality stays protected. Remember, reputation is not fame. Fame is broad but shallow. Reputation is targeted but deep. You don't need everyone to know you. You need the right people to respect you. Comment now. My actions build my legend.